Thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Hello friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. I make a lot of fun content about bullet journaling, pen paling, and also reading. Today I am going to take you through the spreads that I made during April, talk a bit about the books that I read, how I am completely failing at my reading challenge for this year, and also set up my journal for May. But before we get into all of that, let's take a look at some new books that I got because I'm really excited about them. Book of the Month just sent over their full selection of books for May, and you guys, there are some really promising ones. Book of the Month is a subscription service where you get to select a book from 5 to 7 curated books each month, and then it gets sent to you in the mail. This month they have 6 different books to choose from, and they are The Hacienda by Isabella Cañas, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour, Darling Girl by Liz Mikalski, Breathless by Amy McCulloch, Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez, and then they also sent me this book, Book of Night by Holly Black. This is not part of their May selection, but it is available for purchase from Book of the Month in their fantasy selection. I'm pretty sure the book I'm gonna start reading first is Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour because I have heard a lot of positive things about Nina LaCour and I have yet to read a book by her. Right now you can get your first book from Book of the Month for only $9.99 with the code GOMAY. For the next month it's gonna be $16.99, but honestly for a hardcover book every month, usually these books retail for like $27, $28, $30 even, so I think it's a great deal. It also gives me some peace of mind to know that the selection has been curated by the staff at Book of the Month and that they've only picked books that they think are really good, so you're not just walking into a bookstore and picking a random book, which is something I've done many times and it hasn't always worked out. Basically, you're almost guaranteed a good read whatever book you choose for that month. So again, thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. And now let's take a look at the books I read in April. The first book I read in April was Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, and if you've watched my previous monthly reading journal videos, you'll know that I've been slowly making my way through this series. Last month I predicted that I wouldn't be able to read 2 Throne of Glass books in April, and I was right, I only got through 1. I don't know if I'll jump straight into the 6th one in May. I might read some non-fantasy books in May because, as you will see in this video, I exclusively read fantasy books during April, and it wasn't even intentional, it just happened. All of my spreads this month were in a section with craft paper, which is always a fun challenge. The notebook that I'm using for my reading journal this year is from Archer and Olive, and it's a so-called Neapolitan notebook, which means that it has both white, black, and craft paper. So I got a lot of variety in this notebook. I used a lot of different decor for the spread, but the most eye-catching ones are these witchy stickers from Marigona Suli Art. I also used stickers from Vinca and from my own sticker shop, Ikigai Papir. Links to everything will be in the description box in case you see something that catches your eye. I have discount codes for some things, but most of it is just stuff that I bought myself. Fun fact, the day I filmed the spread, I was filming at a coffee shop as usual, and I'd actually forgotten my glue at home, so I had to be creative and focus more on stickers and washi tape rather than paper ephemera because I didn't have a way to glue it to the page. Luckily, I have a lot of decorative washi tape, so it worked out quite well, I think. I will admit I was a little bit skeptical to the whole blue on craft paper thing that I did here, but I think that the end result turned out quite nice, especially after I decided to outline the title, Empire of Storms, with my gold jelly roll pen. I think it made it look a lot nicer, and even though you can't really see the gold unless you look at the notebook from an angle, I think it looks quite nice. The blue brush pen that I used for the title is a calligraph pen from Archer and Olive. I really like their brush pens, so I hope that they will keep making more colors because I'm kind of obsessed. I know I don't really make my reading journal spreads fit the book most of the time, but this one feels kind of appropriate. All the magic stuff and witchy stuff in the spread. I think it fits Throne of Glass. The hardest thing about making these reading journal videos is to talk about the books that I read without spoiling anything for someone who might want to read the book. I guess it's a good thing that I write my reading journal spreads in Norwegian, because that means that most of you will not understand what I'm writing. Only around 3% of my viewers are from Norway actually. But what I can say about Empire of Storms, which I don't think will be a spoiler or anything, is that I feel like these books keep getting better. Like every single book is a little better than the previous one. And it feels like a much more developed story at this point than in the beginning. Because I will admit, the first Throne of Glass book, I was like, this is okay, but it's not amazing. But now I'm really enjoying the books a lot. So I am excited to continue the series. And I also quite like how the spread turned out. The next book I read in April was The Cartographers, and this was actually part of Book of the Month's March selection. Here it is. The Cartographers is written by Peng Shepherd, and it's a fantasy book in the disguise of a drama/mystery novel. Or maybe a mystery with a touch of fantasy. I found so much joy in this book. There's just something about maps that makes the mystery lover in me tingle. This book was action-packed, things were happening all the time, the story developed at a good pace, and I really enjoyed the unraveling of the mystery. I will say though, I do have a few gripes with this book. For one, the ending was a little bit unsatisfactory for me and felt a tiny bit rushed. Secondly, and I know this one is a bit contradictory because it's a fantasy novel, so it's supposed to be unbelievable in a way, but I found some of the characters' actions to be a bit too unbelievable, a bit too irrational. However, this didn't really impact my enjoyment very much, and I'm not saying that it was a bad book. It was a very exciting book, and I loved it. I would definitely read it again. As for my spread, I had 2 pieces of paper ephemera which I got from pen pals that have maps on them, so I definitely had to use them for this. They were perfect. I definitely went for a more academia feel in the spread, and in a way it's also a bit more minimal than the previous one. I even used some of the light academia washi tape from Notebook Therapy here. The girl stickers are from Hippie Post originally, but I got them in a letter from Lena, aka Mochibujo. You'll have seen me open her latest letter to me in my previous video, the vlog. I would love to order something from Hippie Post, but they're currently on a break, I think, at least for physical orders, so maybe when they open up again. I actually think that the theme of this whole spread fit the book perfectly, so I'm quite happy with that, even though, like I said, I don't try my hardest to make the spreads fit the theme of the book very much, but this time it just happened because I had just gotten these light academia washi tapes and the girl stickers, so I just kind of went with it, and I think it turned out really nice. Next up, life kind of threw me a curveball when my boyfriend randomly picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses at Barnes & Noble and said, "Wow, this cover looks cool." And somehow we started reading Acotar together. Now, the first time I read A Court of Thorns and Roses was in November 2021, so it hasn't actually been that long. But here I am on the next one. We're currently on the 3rd book. So during April we read Acotar and Acomath, that's A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury. I really wanted to use some of my new stickers for this setup, so I got out all of my sunflower themed stickers for the spread, the Patreon exclusive, and also the stickers that are currently in my shop. Since I read Acotar, like I said, in November, and it hasn't been that long, I decided to not make 2 spreads for the 2 books, but instead just make 1 spread for both Acotar and Acomath. Since this is a reread, I didn't feel like I needed a full spread for both books. I was pretty much writing about what I thought about the books now after knowing the full story, and also recording my partner's reaction to the books. To be honest, I was a bit worried at first because he was so annoyed with Feyre in the beginning of Acotar, but towards the end of the first book he was fully committed, and we've basically binge read the first 3 books. And to be able to read them together, we mixed reading out loud to each other and listening to the audiobooks, which was an interesting blend. I must say, I don't particularly like the narrator of the 3rd book. She sounds a little bit too cocky all of the time, but at least she doesn't read as slow as the narrator of the first 2 books. Anyway, I digress. You will see that I made a mistake on the title when I wrote A Court of Thorns and Roses, because I wrote roser instead of roses with an R at the end. Fun fact, that's how you write roses in Norwegian. So I'm not sure what happened there. My Norwegian brain just kind of took over, and I decided to just commit to it, because with craft paper you can't really cover it up with a white gel pen or anything, so it was either cover up the entire title or just, live with it and move on with my life. So I went with the second option. I actually really enjoyed reading these books for the second time. There were some scenes that I'd forgotten, some descriptions that I maybe didn't catch the first time, but I have to say, the beginning of Acotar, or I guess like 3/4 of the book, was long. But I was just like crossing my fingers for my boyfriend to want to keep reading so that we could get to the second book, because it's the best one. And we got there. So I am pleased. I think my boyfriend is more in love with Rysand than I am. So, mission accomplished, I guess. And then of course the very last thing that I had to do was to set up my monthly spread for May. If you remember, I did a little unboxing of my order from Paper Monogatari back in March, and I did use some of the stickers and ephemera in my travel journal, which I showed you in my previous video, but I really wanted to make a whole cover page all with stickers from Paper Monogatari. If you don't know Paper Monogatari, it is a small business run by Anna from Journal Away. She made this adorable Daisy and Bunny set, and she included stickers with titles for March, April, and May. So I felt like this was my last chance to be able to use the set this year and be able to use the titles and everything. Obviously you can use the stickers whenever, but I wanted to use the title stickers and just kind of, use all of it now while it's fresh. So I decided to use one of the larger vinyl bunny stickers for my cover page. I made a collage on the left spread with some of the stickers and also some ripped out pages from old books, just to create a little bit of contrast, because the colors in this set are pretty muted. So there's like light beige, light blue, light green. The ripped paper from books creates a nice contrast together with the craft paper background. I really love this bunny sticker. It is so cute, and I knew I needed to give it all the attention it deserved, so now it will forever be on my May cover page. I have made a lot of reading journal cover pages up to this point. I started with my first reading journal in 2020. In my first reading journal, I kind of had this ongoing theme throughout my whole reading journal, which kind of moved into 2021 as well, because I used the same notebook for both of those years, where I kind of just focused on brown craft paper, kind of muted colors like that. But in this reading journal for 2022, I have just gone with whatever theme I feel like for that month, and it's very liberating. There are no rules in my reading journal. I just do whatever I feel like that time, and it does help me a lot because I have a lot of stationery. I have lots of stickers, ephemera. I don't always feel like I get to use all of that ephemera and stickers in my bullet journal because I have set themes every month. I don't always use the kind of scrapbooking method in my bullet journal because I really like to draw my setups as well. And then of course I have my pen pal letters where I get to explore collaging and ephemera in a different way. But it is really nice to have my reading journal where I can just make a complete collage setup like this and use whatever stickers and ephemera I want to use. Okay, but let's talk about my reading challenge for 2022 because this is the second month in a row where I haven't actually read a book for my challenge. Okay, that's not entirely true because I did start a book, I just haven't finished it yet. I'm trying to not make myself feel bad about it because it is just a challenge for fun. It's not serious, it's not the end of the world. It is just a fun challenge that I made for myself for this year, and I want to think of it more as a guideline or a suggestion to books that I should read to kind of widen my horizon, if that makes sense. That's why my challenge is about books from around the world. So yeah, I will do better in May, I hope. I will do my best to catch up eventually, but I'm also not going to be sad if I end up not finishing the challenge. I really like how this spread turned out. I feel like the black and white sparkles kind of completed it, if that makes sense. And I'm feeling really good about starting May with this spread as my cover page. You can see that I have room for 4 books in May, which is kind of my goal, to get through 4 books during this coming month. And here is a flip through of all of the spreads that I made in April. And if you want to see me make my cover page for April, then just head back to my previous reading journal video and do let me know which one of these spreads you like the most. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched it all the way to the end, then make sure to put a book emoji in your comment. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more from me. I also have an Instagram, a TikTok, a Patreon page, and a sticker shop. So go to the description box to check out those links if you'd like. Thank you again so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Let me know in the comments which books you enjoyed the most in April. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!